Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. I am very happy to have on the Goldstein on Gelt show Dr. Bharat P. Bhatta. He's originally from Nepal. He's an economist with an interest in the pricing of a product survey, and currently he is at the University College in Norway. Dr. Bhatta, it is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So you have been quoted in the press with what many people consider kind of radical research, which is that airline tickets, instead of being priced at a certain fixed amount, should instead depend on how much each person weighs. Could you explain your model?
I think the model is quite simple and it's logical and intuitive. According to my model, the fare of a person in air travel should depend on the weight, body weight, because it is in fact is not a number or person, it is a weight that matters for traveling. And as you know, weight and space are the important aspects in pricing a product or service, not only in transportation, in all types of field. And weight and space are even more important in air transport than in other fields. That's why I thought weight and space should be taken into account in order to set fare. I think this is intuitive and logical. And as a student of economics, my goal is to achieve efficiency and fairness. I think this type of pricing will result in fair and efficient price of air travel.
Okay, so you're saying that by charging by the pound, it's both fair and more efficient. So let's ask questions about both of those. In terms of efficiency, is it really a big difference if someone who weighs 150 pounds takes a seat as opposed to, let's say, someone who weighs 200 pounds takes that same seat across from the United States to Europe, for example?
It does. In fact, this is... it does not cost, for an airline, it does not cost exactly 2 times, but 200 carrying 200 a person with 200 pounds is cost significantly more than 100 pounds. This is significantly different.
Even though the size of these airplanes is hundreds and hundreds of tons, I guess.
Yes, this is an interesting issue. Yes, then you are talking of marginal cost. Yeah, marginal cost may not be so high, but average cost matters.
So when you're saying marginal cost may not be so high,
for example, marginal cost may not be so high, but average cost matter. And this is in airplane. We have fixed capacity. And strictly fixed capacity, both of weight and space. Especially weight is very important. That's why and that when you have constraint, capacity constraint, then you have the value. Shadow in economics we call shadow price, shadow cost.
Okay, so I understand the theory, and clearly the theory of what you're saying makes sense. But do you have any numbers that would demonstrate? Again, we're talking about big airplanes and long trips. Is there really a significant enough savings between, for every pound or every kilogram difference? How much are we talking about?
This is an explanatory study. I have not gone so far, so detailed, but I think it is it costs significantly higher to transport 200 pounds person than 100 pound person.
Okay, so that's on the efficiency side. You said that
this is an efficiency, and that's why I have mentioned that this is an explanatory study, and before this type of model is implemented, we have to do many type of studies, whether the model is socially acceptable, how much we can gain. Mm-hmm. My paper does not say that we might gain. We can gain, but we don't know how much we'll gain.
Okay. We are talking with Dr. Bharat P. Bhatta, who is an economist. He has published a paper and spoken about how a different model of charging on airlines might be both more fair as well as more efficient. He's a professor of economics at the University College in Norway. So we've just been talking about how it's perhaps more efficient to charge according to weight because someone who's bringing more weight with him, whether in terms of his luggage or his own personal body, costs the airline more and should pay more. Now let's talk about the side of being fair. Is it in fact fair if you have two people? They're both just two individuals, and quite frankly, not everyone can control how much he weighs. Is it really fair to charge people more if they weigh more?
Well, this is an interesting question. This is for an airplane. Yeah, for an airplane, this is it does not matter whether there are two, three, or it matters only weight. Of course, this is true. You cannot, maybe many people cannot control their weight, but this matters little for the airplane, whether you can control your weight or not. For the plane, it matters only whether how much you weigh.
Mm-hmm. So why does this make it fair?
Fair means now, for example, a person who weighs, for example, 20 kg or 15 kg, and a person who weighs more than 100 kg pays the same, nearly same. But according to this model, the person who is 15, 20 kg pays less, while a person who weighs more than 100 kg pays high. That's why it is fair, because it costs more to transport that person, that 100 kg person, than the 15 or 20 kg person.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying it's kind of like mailing a package, going to the post office, that if you have a large box, you'll have to pay more than a small box.
Well, this is very contentious issue. That's why people, that's why many are complaining that this type of pricing is discriminatory. This type of pricing is unethical. This type of pricing, it's not for human. It's not. It does not apply to transport human beings. Yes, this is
right.
In one sense this is true, but in fact, from the airline's point of view, persons are also cargo, mm-hmm. because it costs more to transport heavier person than the smaller persons.
Mm-hmm. So people have referred to this as a fat tax, that it taxes people who are overweight, but it doesn't necessarily mean someone who's overweight, because you might just as well have someone who's very tall who naturally will weigh more. Do you have a model for practically dealing with that?
No, not really. Not really. This is not a fat tax. In fact, when I read in the newspaper, in the electronic media, that this model is projected as fat tax. This is not a fat tax at all. This is not a fat tax. For example, they said for example, according to this model, I have emphasized that if airlines charge more for bigger persons, smaller person must get a discount in their fare. But in the media, it is only projected that only heavier persons have to pay more. This is only one side of the issue. Mm-hmm. And my paper have addressed both type of issue. It is not only heavier persons who have to pay more. It is more importantly, it is the smaller persons who has to get discounts in their airfare. That only in that case the model, the pricing scheme, pricing policy is socially desirable. Otherwise, if you are charging only the heavier persons, then it is not socially desirable. Also not economically feasible.
So presumably you would not only look at the person, but simply charge a passenger based on the total weight being consumed, which would include both his body as well as his luggage?
Yes, this is what I'm thinking. For example, these days we are getting nearly 30 kgs of weight, including hand carry and luggage. And for example, because I get 20 kgs or 30 kg extra, I pack everything which I don't need. And I have also read in the comments that people are packing from the sink. In fact, because if we had to pay, I would not have packed this 30 kgs. For example, maybe just 10 kg is enough for me. Because I would like to take everything from with me, if given my limit, for example, 30 kgs. So in fact, if this type of model were implemented, at least, for example, people would reduce their luggage. Then, if people reduce their luggage, definitely it will impact the airlines and the society at large.
And you don't feel this is discriminatory against larger people or heavier people because it might simply make it too expensive for them to fly?
Do you think so? If this is the case, if this is discriminatory to the bigger person now, in that type of fare policy, don't you think this is discriminatory? This now the average fare policy of the present day is discriminatory to smaller person?
You mean because it's making them pay more than their fair share?
This is because this is not discriminatory in my view.
Mm-hmm. It's making people pay for what they're using.
Yes, it will make the people what they cost to the airlines.
I see. In the same way you would argue that someone who's larger has to eat more food, but it's not discriminatory that he has to pay more for food because
in my view, this is not discriminatory at all.
Okay, I see.
If this is discriminatory, in fact, this is not discriminatory. But the fare policy of current fare policy is discriminatory to smaller persons.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's really a new way of thinking, and unfortunately we're just about out of time, but it's fascinating talking with you. We have been talking with Dr. Bharat P. Bhatta. He was originally from Nepal, and for many years now he's been in Norway as an associate professor of economics at the University College in Norway. Bharat, in the last few seconds, could you just tell people how can they follow your work or learn more about your research?
I think you can read a whole article in the journal website, which is published in Journal of Revenue and Pricing Management. Yeah, and in fact, I have published two articles about this concept, and I would like to request the readers to read all of my articles, not only the comments, not only the synopsis in the newspaper article, because newspaper articles or electronic media articles in the internet, it is projected as fact text. In fact, it is not fact text at all. It is the price, it is the fare according to your true weight. This is not fact text at all.
All right.
So I would like to ask the readers to read my article. I have made the article very, very simple so that everyone can understand. It is very simple because this is a touchy issue and concern to everyone. That's why I made the article intentionally very, very simple.
Okay.
Hopefully, everyone can understand.
All right, we will put a link to that on the show notes at www.goldsteinongelt.com so people can have an easy way to find that. Dr. Bharat P. Bhatta, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.